Hi friends, welcome back. So question for you, is the American dream still alive? And what is going on with the housing market? These two particular issues are deeply connected, and I know this can be some very sensitive topics here because they're essentially like, talking about getting into a home and living out the American dream. Unfortunately though, houses are expensive. You guys know this. But I want to show you the charts on these things because it helps you understand the system much better and also to understand that you are not alone. This is an article that just came out just today here. Housing Market Explained in 6 Charts. It was out by CNBC, and they really illustrate this stuff well. And this is the first one we got to take a look talk about here is where are mortgage rates and how does that relate to what's been happening the last few years. So this is the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage as of July 11, 2024. It's at 6.89%. It peaked out at 7.79. So I'm probably not going to go higher than that. I say probably not. My personal opinion is the Fed should hold tight on rates, even consider raising. I said consider it, but I don't think they're going to. But this is where rates are at the moment. There was a time back in 2021, January 7th. Rates were at 2.65%. So I don't think we're going to see these rates anytime soon again. However, there's always people out there that say, oh, we need to cut rates as much as we can, et cetera, and get the housing market going again, and everyone can have the American dream. It's funny because oftentimes it's sort of the Kevin O'Leary's and Grant Cardone kind of people. There's those essentially people who are real estate moguls. They want to be flipping houses all the time. They want to be renovating houses and essentially turning the nation into a whole bunch of renters. This is something that I watch quite frequently, and we talk about this stuff quite a bit on the channel, right? Where rates, it affects everything. Now, the crazy thing about our current system that we're in is you would say, okay, with the rates at this level, like who's getting mortgages, and if no one's getting mortgages, shouldn't price of housing come down? Not necessarily. This is why it's crazy. Like our whole system is kind of nuts right now. This is the home price index. It has been going only one direction. So at the moment, housing prices haven't necessarily cooled nationally. Now I say nationally because everything depends on your neck of the woods, right? So you may be in a market where it was totally a bubble. The big bubbles were actually Miami, Coeur d'Alene, which is in Idaho, so Miami's in Florida. And then I think Austin was one of those big bubbles. There's a few like around, there's many bubbles in USA. But those are some of the bigger ones, and then you just have like crazy affordability problems in places like Seattle, and you guys know this if you live there, or LA, etc. I think even because it's not just the coast. I even think places, my understanding, like Nashville is really expensive compared to what it used to be. There's multiple places, but generally speaking, most places in USA prices keep going up. So we raise rates, and this is something that we would hope to cool. Because inflation is a tricky beast to tame. I understand this is sort of why we look at numbers all the time. So I did a video yesterday, and it sort of broke down which things are actually decreasing in price. Would be like apples and TVs and men's suits. That's the stuff was on there. Used cars was on that list also. And I always say this to you guys is that the thing is like when the national numbers come and say, oh yeah, CPI data is lesser, but it includes stuff like your TVs and men's, et cetera. And that's not stuff you buy all the time. That's not stuff that you're, are necessarily worried about. You probably bought your TV a couple years ago, and that's why prices are going down. Or one of the reasons is because no one needs new TVs anymore. But your housing costs, which is a big portion of your income, when you get to how much, is still elevated. So that's why many people are feeling the pinch. Moreover, this is the Affordability Index. You guys can see this here. So that's from January 2020 to April 2024. I'm sure you can guess which directions it's going. So basically, houses are less affordable, and it just it keeps going, right? Keeps going down. The affordability keeps going down. That's how you read that. Moreover, take a look at this. Oops, yeah. This is the other one that's really we're talking about. Share of your income. So back in 2020. About 27.5% of your income would go to your housing, right? So the way they say this is say share of income needed to own a medium price U.S. home. So this would be in the buying area. So I'm not sure exactly where rents are at the moment. I'm sure it's pretty in the same ballpark. But the issue that we face right now is, generally speaking, when you talk to your sort of personal finance guru people, they say, hey, try to keep your shelter/living expenses in the 30% or under, right? So don't overcommit yourself. At the moment, though, this is just like your average share of income needed to own a medium price home. We're currently at 43%. So that's above what people generally consider to be good. In October, it was 45. I laugh because it's like, I mean, what else can you do? I guess you could cry or laugh, but things are unaffordable, right? And I'm showing you these numbers, guys, mostly because, again, I don't want you to feel that like you're alone if you're struggling or feeling the pinch. I know when you look at social media, it feels like everyone's living their greatest life all the time and everyone's smiling, etc. You never know another person's situation, and ultimately, when your friends are buying the new cars and the new houses, etc., they're the ones paying for it, right? For you, and what I mean by that is, there's going to be interest coming going along with that kind of stuff. Chances are, people are living off a debt. That is a real thing in USA, and also too, they may be struggling as well. Like they may be putting a much of their income, into their, let's say, for example, in their shelter or their cars or whatever, and not saving anything. That's another thing that is a real thing. You never know. You never know with people. You can ask them, and maybe they tell you, and that's something too, which I think is good. Good in the sense of if you have friends around you that talk to you honestly about that kind of stuff, and also to have friends around you that encourage each other to save and invest. Because if you're always like living like this, where you're basically spending all of your money all the time, you got your car payments and your house payments like basically eating up, we'll say 60% of your income, and you got your tax and you got your food and you got insurance and all these other things, and it's like you're only maybe saving, well, you may not be saving at all. I would say maybe you're only saving 2% of your money total. You're really putting yourself behind for the future, right? And so I understand for some people they really want to live the frugal lifestyle, but it's just not possible because prices are so high. Again, I'm showing these numbers. I know it can be frustrating to look at this stuff, but to show that you're not alone in these things. So if you're feeling like things are expensive everywhere, you're not alone. And then also too, if you see the government telling you, hey guys, CPI is coming down, look at inflation's cooling, and you're like, I don't see what's going on there. It's housing. Housing is a key, and it's a tough beast to tame. Here's another thing that I want to take a look at. This is an interesting chart. It says here, year-over-year percent change in components of the Atlanta Fed's home ownership affordability monitor index. So basically this, okay, we know that affordability is tough right now. What's this due to? So there's three things: prices, rates, and income. And if you look at the chart here, they were saying rates is like a major component of that. When things are unaffordable, because the change in rates really added up quite a bit, right? So I can't remember what the exact number was, but each point that it goes up, people will move around less in the market, and also too your payments go by a certain amount. And I'll show you the exact numbers in a moment here, which I mean by that. But these three factors are the big ones to affordability, right? Where are prices, where are the rates, and how much money are you making, etc. Moreover, this is actually a really, really interesting chart. This shows that essentially people aren't, or how can I say, one of the explanations of why people aren't moving around so much and why the housing market has slowed. Now, it's not cooled off, just slowed, because people got their mortgages under the average, right? So under the 7% average, or was it 6.68 or whatever it was, right? So under the 7-ish. So this group right here, this is a really big group here. This dark blue group here, and you guys can see this here. These are people who are 3 points or more below the national average. So all the blue here, and then you got some oranges and yellows. But essentially, what it is that if you're sitting in your home right now and you're watching this channel, and you got 3% mortgage rate or whatever, and you're thinking, okay, if I sold now and they picked up another mortgage to buy another place somewhere else, I'd have to pay 7% interest. It's just not worth moving, right? And so then no one's buying, no one's selling, and this is sort of an issue that we have right now. And sort of, I understand it, guys. I understand it. And sort of, again, you get to those real estate people complaining all the time. Oh, we got to lower mortgage rates to zero and get this economy going again. To get these housing market going again. The problem with that, though, is if you give a loan, if you lower rates to a certain level to much lower, and you give loans to everyone, what do you think that does to pricing of houses, right? If everyone has a whole bunch of money that they can borrow to buy houses, housing prices tend to go up, because you put more money in people's pockets. Now I know it sounds good to put more money in people's pockets, but if you guys are old enough to remember the housing bubble, this is back in the 2000s. We had people that shouldn't have been, but they were because it was so easy to get loans back then. It was buying two and three houses, that kind of stuff, maybe even four, and then essentially just you had the situation to where many people were on a variable income or variable interest rate, and yes, variable income too, maybe, but variable interest rate. And so if it got to a situation to where rates shot up too high for them, suddenly that cracked the system, right? Or they got in a situation where they lost their job, right? That cracked the system. Or they got in a situation to where things suddenly slowed down and there's no one to flip your house to, right? That also crashed the situation. So the crazy thing about it at that time is that prices got up so high that they were at that time were 6 to 7 times the housing prices were higher, 6 to 7 times of your income. So for example, this is the home price to median household income ratio, right? At the moment, we're actually above the housing bubble numbers. We're at 7 to 8. I've showed this chart every now and then, but I'm just showing you again because we have more things to look at. So again, if you're feeling the pinch, it's not just you, it's the whole market. But it's not just the USA, because some people think that the USA is the only place in the world that experiences inflation. It's not. And in fact, these numbers here, the 7 to 8 times, and oftentimes people consider this, home ownership be part of the American dream. This is actually still less than other countries. So take a look at this. I just did a quick Google search, and if you live in any of these countries that we mentioned, please let me know what numbers that you find. I just did a quick search. So we'll talk about the UK, and it says here, England, it says in 2023 the ratio fell to 6.7 and 6.2. So these are kind of rough numbers, and also here it gives a number of 8.4, meaning it is, you look at what is someone's income and what is the price of a home, right? How many times your income. So that's where UK is. London is expensive, 13.9 times your income, right? Typical household. And then this one here, this is China. Give you guys a sense of like where we are. 11.9. I've actually heard numbers even higher than this as well. So when you say that the USA, household home price is 7 to 8 times your household income. Here in China is actually 11.9. I say here, I don't live in China, but China's 11.9, and then again that compares to something like a London at 13.9. Or take a look at this. This is Korea, so I live in Korea, so I can just tell you housing prices are through the roof. If you want to live in Seoul, 15.2, right? So affordability is really, really awful there. And so, when people complain about affordability in USA of it being at 7 to 8, it's still lower compared to other places in the world. Like, you guys don't realize how bad it is around the world. And so, like in Seoul, you'll get these articles. Buying a home in Seoul costs decades of salary and then some. And then if you want to go to the most exclusive neighborhoods, it's even more nuts. Korea as a whole, though, you can see here is 6.3, 6.7, so a little bit more affordable. So we live in Busan. My personal opinion on this stuff is I'm not paying these crazy, like I see the prices in Seoul, and I'm like, you'd be crazy. Yeah, that's my opinion and stuff. It depends. Everything depends on your particular situation. It depends on your work situation, family situation, etc. My wife in particular, she likes Seoul. I mean, she's from there, so all the family is up there. But I just think the prices are nuts. And I don't know. I would say I'm unusual in Korea. It's a long discussion, but culturally here, half the population lives in Seoul. So then you have like all this land that could be used, for other things. And the great thing here about I love Busan. I think it's awesome. But it's like you get all the benefits of living in Korea and way more affordable. Especially too when you get older and want to retire, etc. And so this happens to a lot of people. Say in New York City, and you guys know this, who doesn't know this? New York City is really expensive. And so, once you quit working and you go into retirement status kind of thing, then you go down to hopefully somewhere more affordable, like a Florida. I say hopefully. Florida hasn't been that way as of late, right? So I don't know where New Yorkers are going these days, if there's another state that's warm, and has, retirement communities. I don't know, you guys can tell me. But this is the kind of stuff that I'm saying around the world, look at the affordability. So for example, this is an interesting one. So in Canada, it's 10.8 times is a number here. Again, you're looking at home prices compared to people's salary. Moreover, take a look at this one. This is Australia. And I keep hearing this from Aussies who watch the channel. They say, yes, housing's nuts in Australia. So I guess it is 16 and a half, so like 16.5. So that is like really, really unaffordable. I don't know. I don't follow the Australian housing market that much. You guys can let me know. And are people talking about crashes there? It seems like we should be, right? Because like, who can afford this stuff? That's what we're always talking about. And then you get this other one. This is another headline coming from CNBC. It says, high prices and mortgage rates, aspiring and current homeowners feel stuck. And this was some of the more details that I was telling you guys about. It says here, on top of that, the FHFA found that homeowner is 18.1% less likely to sell for every 1%, 1 percentage point their mortgage rate is under the current level. So if and again, so you're looking at what mortgage rates are now, and you're looking at what your mortgage rate is compared to the average, and the more below you are than the average, the less likely you are to sell. And so this is sort of like the problem that we have at the moment, that and people, for real estate agents probably know this, there's just not much inventory, right? So you have someone who's like, hey, I'm looking for a house at this sort of price range, and you open up your book or whatever, your computer, and you're like, well, you got 3 choices in your price range, or you got no choices in your price range. Like I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's kind of nuts. And so then people say, oh, we have to cut. But the issue is, if we cut, I don't think that's going to help home prices, right? So it's a real problem, or home affordability. It's a real problem that we have right now. And this one really stood out to me. And I really want to put a special emphasis on this, because I know people are struggling out there, and I want you to know you're not alone. And also too, if you flip on social media, you don't know if people are getting outside help, right? Unless you ask them. So read this. Zillow found that 34% of all mortgage holders received a financial gift or loan from family and friends for a down payment in 2019. Okay. So oftentimes, for many people who are getting into home, right, you can see this, 1/3 are getting help from family and friends. In 2023, that number jumped to 43%. These numbers really stand out to me. And there's a couple things that I want to address with this. So first is, I actually write about this stuff in my book. It's called Positive Angle. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I do not come from the rich family by any stretch of imagination. I lost my family at the end of the Vietnam War. And I mention this because I really know what it means to struggle, and I know what it means to get a good job, to save, to invest, to like build up your personal wealth on your own. I really know. And I also know that some people get help. I know that. I can see it in the numbers here. And this is something that it's a tough topic to talk about, because for some people, and this is just how it is, I don't know, today's generation worships wealthy people. I don't know why. And the reason why I say I don't know why is because like people say, oh, Chris, why you hate on Musk all the time? Why you hate on Musk or whatever? I'll just use the example of Musk. It's because like if your parents give you a bunch of money to start your company, you're like in a huge advantage in your 20s compared to if you don't. The same way too, if you have parents or family that give you money to buy a home in your 20s, you're at a huge advantage. And so like I don't admire someone necessarily just because they have rich parents, and I don't ridicule people because they don't have rich parents. Like the parent lottery is out of your control, and so for me, my personal situation, I couldn't control that. And it's all of us. I mean, really, I couldn't control my situation in terms of like picking my parents or picking where I was born or the year I was born. I couldn't control that. But what I could do is control like how hard I worked, how hard I learned. I looked for finding opportunities, these kind of things. I mean, this is stuff I write about. And my book is really for people out there who, how can I say, who feel like there's no hope. And I don't talk about all this stuff all the time on the channel, because it's really, really, really complicated issues. And kind of what frustrates me about the world today is everybody wants a quick fix. I say everybody wants a quick fix, right? And that's essentially what people are selling. And I tell you, no, it's not. I literally say in the book, it's definitely not a quick fix, but you can get to where you want to go. And it's a combination of so many things, and also being realistic about the world.